All right. Well, my topic is on entrepreneurship, and how else do we do it with a story? So when my department chair asked me to tell a story, well, my topic is a story. And that is, I'm sitting down as a volunteer for a robotics competition a few months ago. That's one of my passions, is helping high schoolers in robotics. And next to me as a volunteer, having lunch, I introduce myself, a young man. What do you do? I say. And he goes, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I go, really? How exciting. And what are you doing? He goes, well, I helped on teams for 10 years building robots. And now I'm building my own. Going, fabulous. Tell me your life story. So in about 30 minutes, he told it, and then we became friends after that. And what we have, he started with a hobby, and that's flying radio-controlled planes, then helicopters that kept crashing, then drones came out. Drones he was fascinated with completely. But you have this style drone, which looks like a helicopter as a toy, and then you have another drone, which is more consumer-based, not really prosumer or commercial. The problem is he wanted something to be an entrepreneur, is to create a company, and for him, it was ultimately to bring a profit so he can live and thrive. Well, he took apart these drones, and he wanted to come up with a commercial product. It was not this. He did not want military, and he didn't want to achieve and receive funding for millions of dollars. But what he did is he put on his thinking cap, and he said, what do I want to do? How do I take my skills in education and apply it to real world? So he wanted to create a commercial drone. He wanted to go as high as he could, let's say 13,000 feet, knowing though legally you can only go up to 400 feet. He wanted to have a payload and also to fly for about 25 minutes. The reason for a payload is he wanted to use LiDAR. And what is LiDAR? This is it. It's doing a 3D laser topography of land, predominantly for land developers. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. Currently, they're using land surveyors, but it's not as accurate as flying a drone with this LiDAR, because you can get down to the inches in soil, and then they can learn how much soil can be moved from one location to another. So again, the thinking. He needed a lot of money. He just couldn't walk into a makerspace, which he was doing, and figuring out what to do. So how does he do this? He needed a business plan. So although young man, entrepreneur, we still have to go back to the basics, and that is you need a business plan, you need the marketing plan, you need a social media marketing plan, a lot of areas that he did. He took it and he created his plan with the help of some other people at his campus. And they said, hey, let's do crowdfunding. Well, traditional, you go to a bank and you get funding. Here we have the newer technology is called crowdfunding. We have many different ways to achieve crowdfunding. He did not want to use crowdfunding. Instead, he went to a single company and got what's called angel funded. Angel funding, again, is a fairly new term. What it means is one person is willing to invest in capital, using capital venture to start a company. There would be a profit. If the company makes a profit, the angel investor makes a profit. But there is risk involved. There typically are no liens or contracts like banks. So then again, he gets his money and he has to start thinking, what am I going to do now? Where am I going to go? Now I have my funding. This is exciting. Well, he got his pre-seed money. He forms Stollmeyer Inc., and then changes it to inspired flight, more appropriate for inspirations. And the last one is software vendor. To fly, fortunately, he started this in 2015. That's when permits were allowed for drone flying through the FAA. That's when commercial drones were allowed to be used. He went to Switzerland, took a little plane flight, and started with a software firm called Autrin. That's open source software for autonomous vehicles. That was the area where his mechanical side could work with the software side so he can actually fly his drones properly. So then he tinkered in maker spaces in San Luis Obispo. He started tapping in from Cuesta Community College students for internships for them to work for him. And he also went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo School of Engineering. That's why he moved to San Luis Obispo, so he can get the think tanks, because up there, their philosophy is learn by doing. And since he was from Central California, he thought that would be a good place to start this business up. Well, they tinkered more, and ultimately, he decided that the lack in drone technology were the motors. It was very hard to find a motor that was not too heavy, but had endurance and durability. So he went to patent lawyers. He got 4 patents on this Brunelli 5 motor that he created for his company. And this is what he called inspired his drone to be a commercial drone to fly for the endurance, the time, and to have the torque necessary for the propellers to get that payload off the ground. He wanted to achieve 5 pounds. For 4 motors, he actually has 6.4 pounds. And that's actually quite a bit in drone technology and use, because now they can use those instruments that cost about $20,000 that can fly and be used on this. So it has navigation lights built in. It has a 1-point connector, which is the first of the industry. And it also has serviceability, so it can be actually removed, cleaned if there's any dust in it from flying and doing repair work. This is what it looks like. The next video I will play on the final one. Oh, and marketing, of course. How do we market? Well, this industry is very young. It's in its infancy on the life scale. So it's just coming up on the curve. Where they go is to expos. There's 2 expos, one in Europe, one in the USA. These are the 2 expos. He finds LinkedIn is the only social media site that helps business to business. As it is, it's not business to consumer, it's B2B. So he uses LinkedIn and he goes to expos for this area to expand his client base. Okay, thank you.